What is up? Welcome back to Game Brigade. My name is Brian, and today on the show, I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about the campaigns that I'm hoping to get in my hands in 2024. These are campaigns that I've pledged through different types of crowdfunding sites that have been long awaited, and I'm hoping that this is the time we'll finally be able to get these games in our hands. So I have a top 10 list. It's actually going to have 2 bonus videos because that makes sense. Why not add some more games to our list? So without further ado, let's hit the first one. And that is Dawn of Madness from Dimension. I believe it's Dimension Games. And this one is my longest awaited pledge. In fact, the funding period for this one was November 19th, 2019. And this had an arrival date of October 21. You can see my pledge here for the gameplay all in Black Friday, which was also a complete foobar. They did this like Black Friday pledge where they're like, we have different pledges of limited amounts. So it was like $280, but there was like 100 of them, then 285, 287, 290, all the way up to like 330 or some stupid number. And nothing worked. The day they launched those pledges on Black Friday, nothing worked. It all crashed. The whole system broke. So they just gave everyone who was trying to pledge them the 303 like medium of all of it. So whatever. But anyways, Dawn of Madness. This is a survival horror, or maybe just a horror-like experience. At least that's what I think it is supposed to be. This game has gone through so many reworks and basically rewriting of the entire game that I actually don't know what this experience is going to be like when it shows up, when and if it shows up. According to my notes, I should have took way better notes. This is planning to be arriving in Q4 of 2024. So this is still a potential to not even be here, which is, unfortunately on the track record, I might see this in 2025, but according to their updates and everything, they've got everything in the pipeline and all, here, the rewrite is complete. Like that was the last update, the rewrite. We're still rewriting the game. So yeah, that's Dawn of Madness. Been waiting on this one forever. Not sure if this is going to be a game I'm going to want. In fact, as I wanted to talk about this, I pledged for this game back when I was really into survival horror games. This is when I backed like Nemesis, and when I backed Alone. These were other games that dealt with survival horror or kind of that genre of games. And this might not really be a niche that I'm really striving for or need in my collections anymore. And that's kind of the problems with crowdfunding, is sometimes, something you might like or some sort of theme you're kind of wanting might not be something you're looking for, years down the road when it maybe does show up. So this is number 12 on the list, Dawn of Madness. The next one is 7th Citadel. This is another one that this is the reason why it's not in the top 10, is that there are very big potentials that this game might not be one that I might even keep in my collection. I have since moved on from 7th Continent. I've sold my copy and moved on from it. But this is one that I liked the idea of what 7th Continent did. There was just experiences of it that didn't feel great, and I hope that 7th Citadel would have fixed it. Now, so what is 7th Citadel? What is 7th Continent? What is this system? This is an exploration game where players are going to be exploring this location, which kind of has a bunch of different hidden things on each card. And you as a player are going to choose to go to different locations, which will have some information for you to do, maybe some puzzles for you to solve. But the game has also been historically very difficult, and I've kind of been leaning away from those type of FU like type systems where it's just overly complicated or punishing when you die. So 7th Citadel, probably one that I am excited to see finally get in my hands and have it, but I'm unsure of when this might actually show up. I have it as May of 24, so between Q1, Q2 of 2024 is when this hopefully will be in my hands. And the next one is Unconscious Mind. Now, Unconscious Mind, starting us off here, mostly because I've become less and less in love with Euro systems as of late. I've been much more interested in like the Ameritrash type systems and just the casual nature of them. But I very much like these guys' first game. You got to remember Endless Winter. Endless Winter was a lot of fun. I like the worker placement. I like deck building games. And this is so I trust the decisions that these guys decide to do in their games. Now, the biggest question here is the theme's a little different for me in terms of my normal theming in games, but I'm hoping that their pedigree of making really good quality systems will shine through. Now, I don't know if I actually wrote down when this is going to be delivering. Oh, Q2 of 2024. And the delivery date of this one was December 2023. So they're not too far behind in terms of where they're located, which is good. Next, we've got ISS Vanguard. Hopefully you guys can see this because GameFound is a little bit different looking on my screen. Maybe I should try. Yeah, we're going to change the profile for just this GameFound. ISS Vanguard. This is for Wave 2 backers as well as English Pack 1 backers. So we should be getting this now. Now, Wave 2, for my location, they're doing it a little differently according to their updates. So if you're US based, because that's basically what I know, they're going to have 2 different hubs handling distribution. So they have one in Seattle and I believe one in Florida handling the distribution. So based on where you're located in the United States, that's where you're going to be getting it. But because of that, it's going to be kind of variable of when you can get it. Some people are already getting it now, but they're going to have 2 more ships coming to Seattle. So it looks like those are kind of smaller waves, as well as there'll be a bigger ship, I believe, going to Florida, which will be covering most of the East Coast as well as Midwest. So I don't know when I'm going to be getting this. I put down, let's see here, Q1 2024 is the estimation delivery date. But because there's 2 other ships that are going to be scheduling to arrive for Seattle, which is West Coast for me, I could easily see this in Q3, because I'm always like the person who gets the short end of the stick when it comes to games arriving. ISS Vanguard is a sci-fi adventure game where basically you are taking your crew to different types of planets and anomalies and locations and utilizing their different types of specialties of the division they're in and these dice to kind of get through different types of checks and storyline derivative missions, as well as fighting these alien encounters. This is a very, very big story campaign game that I've been looking forward to, and while I did get the core box a while ago, I really didn't want to play this game at all until I got everything, because I wanted the stretch goal box. I didn't get the crew card missions in mine for some reason, so I want all the stuff. I want all the things. So I've been waiting eagerly to play this game, even though I had some commenters on my unboxing video for ISS Vanguard like, please, play the game, give us your review, and I'm like, I want to play. I want the whole game to actually play the game. So that's ISS Vanguard by Awaken Realms. Next is Stellaris Infinite Legacy. This was supposed to be delivered in April of 2022, and I believe this was funded in 21. I did a coverage on this, March 11th, 2021. This is by Academy Games, and Stellaris is, if you don't know what Stellaris is, it's a video game. It's a video game. Real-time strategy, galactic, huge games where you are going to be a single empire as you explore, expand, exterminate, and exploit. It's a 4X game. Your different types of resources and planets and aliens around you. Now, I love Stellaris, the video game. I play it very regularly. In fact, we have a campaign going right now with several of my friends. And so the video game by Academy Games intrigued me. Now, I made a should you back on this video when this came out. I very much hammered how much I was disappointed in the way that Academy Games launched and featured this game with a lack of a rule book and lack of gameplay explanations. We really don't know what we're backing, and I think to this day it still feels that way. Now, I've talked with Academy Games at Dice Tower West and at Gen Con, but it doesn't feel like I'm very confident in where we're at, but according to the updates here, they are saying that they are moving along and we're still in line for a release. And let me check here. They have Q4 of 2024 is their estimated delivery date. I'm hesitant. Oh, hold on. I need to go back to the other camera. I'm hesitant to believe them on this one, mostly because of how little information they've released and where we're at in the grand scope of this game. Now, I do think that they're going to deliver a game at some point. The company that they're a partnership with in terms of this IP is going to be holding them to this. I just hope that the game is as good as the video game is, and it delivers somewhat similar experiences for people that I can't experience this with on the video game side. So that is Stellaris Infinite Legacy. Okay, next we have Fractured Sky from Ivy Studios. This one is actually probably the best one in terms of timeline. So if we go to rewards, this was, when was this supposed to be delivered? January 2024, so we're still on track there. And the funding date, I believe, was just this last year, May 1st, 2023. So doing very, very good there. I am excited for Fractured Sky. I really enjoyed this game when I played it. I no longer have the prototype, so I can't get this to the table anymore. But Fractured Sky is a hidden bluffing area control game where basically you're going to have these little airships behind this player screen back here, and you have values of numbers, and you're only able to bid so much per round. Okay, so you're going to have to send your ships to these locations to gather different types of resources as well as get victory points to win the game. There's a kind of a balancing game there of, do you go for victory points or do you go for resources to expand your operation to get victory points later in the game? But maybe you're not going to get the victory points because someone might run away with the lead early on. And as well, how do you play it in terms of bluffing? Do you send out zeros to bluff people that you're not going there? Do you send out your 1 or your 10, but you're only allowed to send out 10 total power in general? It's a very interesting game. I loved it. I'm super excited to finally get this back in the house and play it, because this was one that kind of was that medium weight gateway game that I felt like I could introduce people to gaming that were like beginner gamers. And I played this with several different family groups, and I had a great time. So I'm really looking forward to this one from IV Studios. The next one is Mythic Battles Ragnarok. And this one is going to be part of a chain of games that's probably going to cause chaos and issues within my game group. And so if you're part of my game group and watching this video, please forgive me now for the type of games we're going to be getting. Mythic Battles Ragnarok is a competitive, strategic, like a battle, or like a where I'm going to have my army versus your army, right? And these types of games don't get played as often in my game group, which is one of the reasons why I was hesitant to get something like this. And I ended up, I pledged this I got the War of the Gods pledge, which is include 1 Mythic Battles Ragnarok core box, and I believe it includes, the 1 Mythic Battles Pantheon. So I kind of tried to do a split of both of the original game, Pantheon, as well as the new version. Oh, I didn't mean to click that. And so I'm hoping that we can actually get this played. I'm a little nervous, though, because these types of games don't get played in my collection as much as I'd like to. And this is going to be delivering at some point in 2024. I don't have a guaranteed timeline in terms of when they're going to be delivering, but they are saying that they should be getting delivered relatively soon. So as I was grinding through here, but because of the amount of people they have and whatnot, it might be delayed. But I have heard people are starting to get some shipments, so maybe Q1 to Q3, depending on how many employees they have working the deliveries. But yeah, this one I'm super excited for. This one took the Viking Norse mythologies and made it so you have those units, and then you've got the Pantheon version, which has the Greek and those gods. So I'm super excited to eventually see this game. I just hope it gets played, especially for the cost that I invested into it. Now, continuing with that theme, though, we have Rainbow Six Siege from Mythic Games. This is another battler game where players are going to be taking control of one faction versus another faction, but this one's a little bit different because it's using more strategy in terms of how do you want to approach the objective, what types of operators are you going to take in, and what kind of tools or gadgets are they going to use, which is very akin to Rainbow Six. Now, I know this one is going to be contentious because people hate Mythic games, but if you've been watching my show for any amount of time, you will know that I have been a big person against Mythic games because they've driven me nuts with every game I've gotten never working. And I had a big campaign of no backing Mythic games until this one launched, and I was like, oh man, but I love Rainbow Six. This was the first video game that I ever owned on my PC. I've played every single Rainbow Six to date, and I was playing at this time the Rainbow Six Siege on PC, so I was like already part of the world and super hyped to see the characters and how well they implemented the design of the video game character into the PC game. So I was super amped. You can tell I'm amped by now. And I even did a shoot you back on this video, on this one, and I broke down every single character and how I liked the online implementation versus the board game version and how well I'm seeing that comparison. But unfortunately, Mythic Games has had the issues that Mythic Game has, where they've ran out of money and now they need to ask people for funding, which they did for this, and they were successful. And I did pay for this. I've talked about it when another video sometime in the past year, where I mentioned that unfortunately I was so invested in this already, I felt like I had to go in more. I pledged at the $269 one, but I got a bunch of bullshit in the pledge manager, of course. So I was already so much into this. It was like, do I lose my $400 and go away, or do I add in another $200 or something, whatever the amount was, to get this game? So this is already way overpriced for me, but I'm hoping it gets here, which I believe. If you look at the updates, it actually does look like things are happening. Like they are actually showing production samples, and things are looking progressively good. I believe there is going to be a game here delivered, hopefully relatively soon. And I think it's because there's obviously an IP here with Ubisoft, and I think Ubisoft basically is holding Mythic Games to a contractual agreement that they must deliver this game. So they are. It's just they had to get some additional money for it. So this is the one I am super excited to eventually get to the table. But again, it's part of that battler system game that not a lot of people always like. You know, some people don't like the competitive games, or they feel like they're losing or getting picked on or anything like that. But, you know, I like these games, and I'm hoping to eventually get this one to the table. So for the next one, we're going to go back to this screen, because we're going back to GameFound, and this is Company Heroes 2nd Edition. Company Heroes, disclaimer, is one of my top, I think it's like 25 right now. I have to go check my top 50 list. But I think Company Heroes, the board game, somewhere in the top 25. I very much love this game. But 1st edition did have issues where I didn't love how the game played in some situations because it didn't feel natural, or how the RTS kind of implemented. I then played 2nd edition. I played this with the designer of the 2nd edition, who is also a community member. He was just some person who loved this game so much and said, this game could be so much more. Let me improve it, and kind of rework the system, and then presented it to Bad Crow Games. And Bad Crow Games said, oh yeah, we love this. This is actually cool. Let's make this a 2nd edition. So I played that version, and I said, this is it. This is the version of Company Heroes that I've been waiting for. I've been so excited to get this into the table. So I have backed the Veteran Backers Reward for this one, which I'm eagerly awaiting to eventually arrive. But because of that, I have shelved Company Heroes, the board game, because I'm like, I don't really want to play this system right now until I get the new system. So hopefully this will arrive. Let me see what I have written down. I have Q2 is when the arrival date. But again, this is another system where players are going to be taking on one of the factions, and you're going to be facing against your opponent's faction. So you have German factions, the Axis. You have 2 different factions for the Axis set, and then you have the United States, the British, and the Russians for the other side. So, you know, one person's going to have to choose one of those sides and battle it out. I love how well this reminisced and made me remind me of the Company Heroes 2, the board video game, which again, I've played like 1,500 freaking hours into that game on Steam. Actually, I think it's over 2,000 hours. I actually just finally uninstalled the game because I was like, I have to stop playing this game so much. It's just, I just can't stop playing the same maps over and over and over. I love this game. So yeah, that's Company Heroes, the board game. Super excited to finally get this to the table. Unfortunately, this had a delay for a very long time after the campaign ended, but I'm glad the company's kind of resolved, hopefully, all the issues that they needed to get through, and we're going to be looking at getting a product in a relatively short time. So if we look at this in terms of their announcements, they've already locked in addresses, and it looks like everything's going to be good to go. No more additional ads on to your pledge manager, so that's a good sign for gameplay. So the next one, let's go back to this screen. We're going back to Kickstarter, and this is Cthulhu Death May Die. Guys, I really enjoy Cthulhu Death May Die. But I haven't had a chance to play it in so freaking long because the friend that owned this in the game group moved. So we don't have this copy anymore. So I've been waiting eagerly for this season 3-4 pledge to finally get here. Cthulhu Death May Die, also from CMON Games, is this single shot scenarios where you are going to be some sort of investigator with some minor powers, and you're going to be dealing with some problem from the occult. There's going to be potentially cultists trying to call in some Cthulhu guy or something going on and whatnot. And I love the way this game plays is very much like a Zombicide-like experience, but less like we're just going to throw tons of shit at you, but more calculated and interesting. And I thought it was a better beer and pretzels like experience. Like, hey, let's get some pizza, let's get some drinks, let's have some fun and play a really good game that in my opinion is like a better version of like a Zombicide like experience for me. So I've been really looking forward to this one. I also did a Should You Back video on this one, so if you're interested in checking that out, I always recommend checking out my Should You Back videos. I put a lot of effort into those. Originally, I talked about that this was an option for you to get the Unspeakable box from the first campaign. I thought that was a great deal at the time. But after everything was announced for this campaign, I actually kind of changed my mind. I said, you know what? I think season 3 and season 4 were bananas, and that's what I would put my money into in terms of investment, because it just gave you so much stuff. You got a lot of investigators, you got a lot of good stuff. You got the Elder Gods here, looking really good. So I'm super excited for this one going forward. So we have 2 more on the list. This is the top 3. This is Cthulhu Death May Die. This was supposed to arrive in December 2023, so they're just a little bit behind. And the funding period for this one was in October 2022. So still a long time ago, but we're still somewhere in that time frame for the delivery date. Okay, the next one. I hope you guys are okay with this one. Monumental. This one has been my bane of my existence for so freaking long. I've been waiting for Monumental forever. This thing was a 2020 period, July 2020. One of the first games I covered on my channel when I did a Should You Back, and this was supposed to deliver in April 2021. And I believe this is Funforged. Yeah, Funforged. And this one, unfortunately, Funforged ran into money issues, allegedly through the funding, through the production phase of this, and they've had to come up with some creative ways to still deliver this game. And they've been trying to get this. They thought they were going to get this delivered in summer of 2023. That didn't happen. We're now looking summer 2024, and I'm hoping they eventually get us there. Monumental is a Civilization game. I've talked about, if you've been watching the show for any amount of time, that I've been wanting a Civilization game for eons. Now I've got Mosaic over here. We've got Classic Cultures over here now as well. And they still didn't quite, scratch the itch that I was looking for. And this one was supposed to be hopefully the one that it was gonna be. Kind of a deck building game, kind of an area control movement civilization game, all put into one. And I've been looking forward to this for so long, keeping hopes high that eventually it'll deliver. And Funforged has done an admirable job to not ask for money, but to be very transparent with, yes, We know we made mistakes. We're going to get you this game. But first, we have other obligations. They had another campaign that was funded prior to Monumental. They had to get that one delivered. That one's done now. And so now they're going to get Monumental delivered. And basically what they had to do is they ran out of money. So they had to make a partnership. I believe Asmodee formed a partnership with FunForge for some retail distribution. So they can actually get some retail sales to get some money so they can keep funding the development of this game, which is one of the reasons why so many of these Kickstarter specific brands have issues, is because they don't have a continual source of income. This is a side tangent, to keep the doors open. So you get a massive influx of money for creating this game, and then if you don't have additional sales or something, that money will eventually dry up at some point. And if you don't get this delivered by the time the money runs out, then you're in a real big problem. And I think that's obviously what happened, but they got, luckily, a partnership with a brand who was willing to help them out so they can get their things delivered. So that is FunForge Monumental reprint with the new expansions from African Empires. And the final game that, if you look at my Instagram, I think I have like most anticipated game of this year that I hope to get was 2023. Didn't happen. So now it's 2024. And that is Primal: The Awakening. This game I've been so excited for because I love boss battlers and I love card-driven mechanic games where you're going to play cards out from your hand, and the way that you can manipulate your cards and play them in systems is how you're going to better and beat the game. I love those type of games, like Marvel Champions is another card-driven kind of system. Love those kind of games. And this one is a boss battler, and I love boss battlers. So I was like, this is like everything I love. You got upgrading your equipment. You got the directional combat systems, bunch of stuff. And I don't really necessarily know why this is taking them so long to develop, because in ideas you don't have that many components. You have a bunch of cards and you have a few minis because of the bosses, but they're not. It's been taking a long time for these guys to get this thing going. This funded in January 2021, ended in February 2nd, 2021, so that's a real long time, and the estimated delivery date was March 2022, so we're well beyond that. And maybe, let me check what my notes say on this one for Primal. Where did I write it? March 2024 is their current estimated delivery date. I will let you guys know on the channel. And I thought it would be fun. One of the main reasons I wanted to record this video is I thought it would be fun to kind of go back maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year, and rewatch this video and be like, where was I wrong? Or where was I right? What actually showed up? What games are good and what games ended up being a flop? I'd love to know. And if you guys want to see that follow-up, leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. If you'd like to see these kind of follow-up videos based on these campaigns that we've talked about in the past, I'd love to hear it. My name is Brian. Thank you for watching. To support the show, remember to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment. Otherwise, I will talk to you very soon. Peace.